I stood at the altar, my bride walking toward me in her $12,000 dress, and I pressed play on the church speakers. Her moans filled the sanctuary. But let me back up. Because that moment, that wasn't revenge. That was disclosure. And to understand why I did it, you need to know how far would you go to expose the truth when everyone tells you to forgive and forget. 3 days before my wedding, I found my fiancé's phone. I wish I hadn't, but I did. It was Thursday evening. Madison was in the shower. We were supposed to be addressing the final wedding invitations, late, because her mother Carol kept changing the guest list. The steam from the bathroom seeped under the door. I could hear her singing something off-key, happy, completely at ease. Her phone was on our bed, rose gold case, cracked screen. The crack ran right through her contact photo, splitting her smile in half. I'd told her to get it fixed. She always said she would. It buzzed. A text. The preview showed on the lock screen before I could look away. B. Can't stop thinking about last night. Same time tomorrow? My hands went cold. The phone felt like it weighed 20 pounds. I'm not proud of what I did next. But I picked it up, and the crack in the screen, it looked like lightning. Maybe it was a warning I didn't see. She hadn't locked it. Or maybe she'd been so comfortable in her deception, she'd stopped being careful. I don't know. What I do know is I opened the messages. 3,847 messages. 6 months of conversations, photos, videos, plans, and hotel receipts. Thermal paper, already fading, the Grand Riverside. Room 412, $347.50 charged to her credit card. The same card connected to our joint account for wedding expenses. My chest tightened. I couldn't breathe right. The shower was still running. She was still singing. I scrolled. I shouldn't have, but I did. Madison. He doesn't suspect anything. We're good. B. What about the wedding? Madison. 3 more days, then we're set. Trust transfers 30 days after the ceremony. We just have to wait. I stopped reading. That's when I saw the name. Not a random number. A name I'd known for 15 years. The shower shut off. I heard the curtain rings scrape. The bathroom door would open in 30 seconds. I did the only thing I could think of. I opened my phone and started recording. Then I set hers back down exactly where I'd found it. Cracked screen up. Madison walked out wrapped in a towel, hair dripping, smelling like lavender and lies. "Hey babe," she said. "You okay? You look pale." I held up her phone. She froze. Her eyes went to the screen, then to my face. And in that half second, I saw it. Not panic, not guilt. Calculation. "Michael, who's Brandon to you?" She didn't cry. She didn't apologize. She said 5 words. "Brandon needs me right now." Not, "I made a mistake." Not, "I'm sorry," just that. Like I was the one being unreasonable for caring. "Needs you," I repeated. My voice sounded far away. "He needs you in room 412 at the Grand Riverside? Is that a therapy session, Madison? Because I'm looking at $347.50 charged to our wedding account." "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is." She sat on the edge of the bed, pulled the towel tighter. "Brandon's going through something. His ex just..." "Don't." I cut her off. "Don't insult me by finishing that sentence." "Michael, you're overreacting." "I'm overreacting?" My hands were shaking. I held up my phone. She saw the red recording dot. Her face changed. "Are you recording this?" "Every word." "That's illegal." "No, Madison. Recording someone without consent in our state is perfectly legal as long as one party knows. And I'm one party." She stood up. "Michael, listen to me. We can work through this. Couples survive worse. We have the wedding in 3 days. Everyone's coming. My mom already paid for..." "Your mom?" I laughed. It sounded hollow. "Yeah, let's talk about your mom. What does she have to do with this?" "I don't know yet, but I'm about to find out." I walked past her toward the bedroom door. "Where are you going?" I stopped, turned, looked at the woman I thought I'd spend my life with. "Downstairs, to tell your mother her daughter's a liar, and then I'm calling Brandon." "Michael, don't. This will ruin everything." "You already did that." I opened the door. The steam from her shower followed me into the hallway like a ghost. The house was full. My mother, my sister, Madison's parents, her aunt, 2 bridesmaids. They were all in the living room, sorting place cards and laughing about something. The laughter stopped when I came down the stairs. Carol, Madison's mother, looked up from her Louis Vuitton planner. Every page color-coded, purple for deposits, red for final payments. She'd planned this wedding like a military operation. "Michael," she said, smiling, "we were just talking about the seating chart. Your Uncle Raymond, Madison's been sleeping with Brandon." Silence. Total suffocating silence. My mother's hand went to her mouth. My sister stood up. Carol closed her planner slowly. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. 6 months, 3,000 messages, hotel receipts. I have proof." Madison appeared at the top of the stairs, now dressed. "Michael, stop!" Carol stood. Her perfume, something expensive and cloying, seemed to fill the room. "Michael, I think you need to calm down and think about what you're saying." "I am calm, and I'm thinking very clearly." "You're making accusations 3 days before your wedding. Do you understand what's at stake here?" "Yeah, my life." "We've spent $73,429.18 on this wedding." She opened her planner, showed me the spreadsheet. "Every expense tracked to the penny. The venue is paid. The caterer is paid. We have 147 confirmed guests. The gifts alone, Michael, people have bought $14,300 worth of gifts from your registry. So I should marry someone who's been cheating on me because you spent money? I'm saying you need to think about the bigger picture." "The bigger picture!" I looked at her, really looked at her. She wasn't upset. She wasn't surprised. She was managing me. "Carol, did you know?" She didn't blink. "Know what?" "About Madison and Brandon." "Michael, did you know?" Madison's father stepped forward. "Son, I think everyone needs to take a breath." Carol raised her hand, silencing him. Then she looked at me with something between pity and contempt. "Michael, boys will be boys. If you can't handle that reality, I'm not sure you're man enough to marry my daughter." The room exploded. My mother. "Excuse me?" My sister. "Are you serious right now?" But I just stood there, because in that moment, I understood something fundamental. That's when I realized this wasn't about forgiveness. This was about control. If you've ever been told to accept the unacceptable, type, "I understand" in the comments. Sometimes we need to know we're not alone. I left. Not the house. I went upstairs to the guest room where I'd been keeping my things. I needed space to think, to process, to not do something I'd regret. But mostly I needed to call someone who'd tell me I wasn't crazy. Richard Hall, private investigator, a friend of my late father's. I'd gotten his number 6 months ago when Dad's estate was being settled, just in case we needed someone to track down missing assets. Never thought I'd need him for this. He answered on the second ring. "Richard, it's Michael Patterson. I need help." 20 minutes later, he was at a coffee shop 2 blocks away. I showed him everything, the texts, the photos, the hotel receipt, thermal paper, already fading, like the receipt knew it was evidence of something temporary. Richard took notes, didn't judge, didn't offer platitudes, just listened. When I finished, he looked up from his file. "You want me to verify this?" "I want to know everything. How long? How often? Who knows?" "And Richard." I paused. "I want to know why. Why Brandon? Why now? Why 3 days before the wedding?" He nodded. "I can have a preliminary report by tomorrow morning. But Michael, I have to ask, what are you planning to do with this information?" "I don't know yet. The wedding's in 72 hours. "I know. A lot of people coming." "I know that too." Richard tapped his pen against his notepad. "You want my advice?" "Always. Whatever you decide, make sure it's something you can live with, not something you'll regret. Revenge feels good for about 30 seconds. Then you're just someone who did something vindictive. This isn't revenge. No, it's disclosure. There's a difference." He studied me, then smiled slightly. "Your dad would have said the same thing." He opened his briefcase and pulled out a preliminary timeline. He'd started working while I was talking. "Here's what I can tell you already. Your fiancé's credit card shows 6 months of regular charges at the Grand Riverside. Same room, room 412. Every Thursday evening, like clockwork." Every Thursday. I felt sick. "We have date night on Thursdays." "Not anymore, you don't." He slid another document across the table, a photograph, printed from what looked like a social media post, Madison and Brandon, at his family's lake house, her hand on his chest, his arm around her waist. They looked comfortable, like they'd been together for years. This was posted 3 months ago, Tag location shows it's his parents' property. The comments, one of them from your fiancé's best friend, says, "Finally," with a bunch of heart emojis. Finally, people knew Michael, and they were rooting for it. My hands clenched. How many people? I'll find out. But based on this, more than you want to know. He pulled out another file, thicker. This is the full records request. I'll have everything by tomorrow night. Bank statements, phone records, location data if she's got GPS enabled. The complete picture. But Michael, he looked at me seriously. There's more here than infidelity. Way more. What do you mean? Richard tapped the folder. I pulled some basic background when you called. Your fiancée. When did she first contact you? We met at a charity event 2 years ago. Why? Charity event for your father's foundation, 3 weeks after he passed. My stomach dropped. So your father's estate was worth $2.3 million, and the primary beneficiary is you. Trust transfers full control 30 days after you're married. How do you know about my father's trust? Public record. Anyone can look it up. And Michael, your fiancé's mother used to be a paralegal, specializing in estate law. The coffee shop suddenly felt too small, too hot. I'm saying this might not be about love. It might be about money. And if that's true, Brandon isn't competition. He's insurance. I couldn't speak. Richard continued, his voice gentle but firm. I'll know more tomorrow, but you need to prepare yourself for the possibility that everything, the relationship, the timing, the wedding, was calculated. People don't do that. Michael, yes, they do. I walked out of that coffee shop a different person than the one who'd walked in. That's when I realized this wasn't about a broken heart. This was about a broken contract. I didn't go home that night. I got a hotel room. Ironic, right? But I needed to think without Madison, without Carol, without my mother asking if I was sure. I was sure. Brandon called 17 times. I didn't answer. Finally, he left a voicemail. Mike, man, listen. Madison told me you know. And bro, I get it. You're pissed. But here's the thing. What we did, it doesn't change anything between us. You're still my best man. I'm still your brother. This is just life, man. Complicated adult life. Call me back. Let's talk this out. Over beers, like we always do. Like we always do. I'd known Brandon since college. 15 years. He was supposed to stand next to me at the altar. We had matching cufflinks. My grandfather gave them to us. Said it was for the man who'd be my brother when it mattered most. I still had them. Silver, engraved EJH 1952. My grandfather's initials and birth year. I picked them up, felt their weight. Real silver, not plated. They click when you fasten them. That click, it's a promise you make to yourself. I called Brandon. He answered immediately. Mike, thank God. Listen, I know you're upset. I'm not upset, Brandon. You're not? No, I'm curious. How long were you planning to keep this going? Pause. What do you mean? I mean, were you going to keep sleeping with my wife after the wedding? Or was this just a pre-game celebration? Mike, don't what? Don't call it what it is? It's not that simple. Then explain it. Make it simple. He sighed. Madison and I have history, okay? Before you. And when you guys got together, we tried to make it work as friends. But some feelings don't just go away. So you rekindled your feelings for 6 months in hotel rooms while I was planning to marry her. You make it sound... How should I make it sound, Brandon? Like an accident, like something that got out of hand. Mike, we didn't want to hurt you, but you did it anyway. Yeah? He laughed, nervous. Yeah, I guess we did. And now, what happens now? Now? I mean, that's up to you, man. You gonna throw away everything over one mistake? Not sorry, not ashamed, just entitled. One mistake, I repeated. Yeah, look, Madison loves you. I care about you. This doesn't have to be a big thing. Brandon, yeah, you're not my best man anymore. Mike, and we're not brothers. Brothers don't do this. I hung up. I printed out the texts, all of them, highlighted the relevant parts, the hotel receipts, the photos. I made copies, 3 sets. Then I compiled everything onto a USB drive, black, 32 GB, red stripe down the side, smaller than my thumb. But it held everything. Audio, texts, bank statements, timestamps. truth compressed into 8.7 gigabytes. By Friday morning, Richard called. I have the full report, 18 pages. You want me to email it or? I'll come get it. I drove to his office. The report was worse than I'd imagined. Timeline chart. 6 months, 23 documented meetings. Every Thursday, sometimes more. Financial records. Madison's spending patterns changed right after we got engaged. Designer clothes, spa treatments, all charged to credit cards I'd agreed to pay off after the wedding. Location data, multiple trips to Brandon's apartment, his lake house, even his parents' house. They knew. His parents knew and said nothing. And then Richard showed me the texts between Carol and Madison. Carol. Hook set. 2 more months and the trust transfers. Keep Brandon quiet till then. You've done harder acting jobs. Madison. I know, Mom, but what if Michael finds out? Carol. He won't, and if he does, make him feel guilty for doubting you. Men like him always fold. The texts were from 4 months ago. 4 months. I wasn't mourning her. I was mourning the person I thought she was. Richard watched me read. I'm sorry, Michael. Don't be. You gave me the truth. What are you going to do? I looked at the USB drive, at the printed timeline, at the photographs of Madison and Brandon looking happy together while I planned our future. I'm going to the wedding. You're... what? I'm going to the wedding. I'm going to show up. I'm going to stand at that altar. And then everyone's going to hear the truth. Richard leaned back. That's a public execution, Michael. No, an execution is killing something. I'm just revealing what's already dead. He nodded slowly. You need any help? Yeah. Can you get this audio file formatted for a church sound system? I can do that. And Richard, can you be there as a witness? Wouldn't miss it. I left his office with 3 copies of everything, 1 USB drive, and a plan. That's when Carol called. Michael, we need to talk. I don't think we do. Yes, we do. You're being childish. Madison made a mistake. People make mistakes. Are you really going to humiliate her, humiliate all of us over this? I'm not humiliating anyone, Carol. I'm just not pretending anymore. The wedding is tomorrow. I know. Guests are arriving. The rehearsal dinner is tonight. You need to be there. I'll be there. Pause. You will? Yeah, I RSVP'd yes to my own wedding, but I had a different ceremony in mind. Tell me in the comments, would you walk away quietly and heal in private, or make the truth unavoidable no matter the cost? There's no wrong answer, just different kinds of courage. Saturday morning, wedding day. I woke up in that hotel room and put on my suit. The same suit I'd picked out 6 months ago with Madison, charcoal gray, Italian wool. She'd said I looked like James Bond. I didn't feel like James Bond. I felt like someone about to walk into a burning building. But I had my grandfather's cufflinks. I put them on slowly. They're heavy. Real silver, not plated. They click when you fasten them. Left wrist, click. Right wrist, click. That click. It's a promise you make to yourself. I looked in the mirror. The man looking back at me wasn't the same man who'd proposed 14 months ago. That man believed in happy endings. This man knew better. My phone buzzed. Text from my sister. Where are you? Mom's freaking out. Are you coming? I'll be there. Michael, please tell me you're not going to do something crazy. Define crazy. Anything that ends with you on the news. I smiled. See you at the church. St. Catherine's Church. 200 capacity. Gothic architecture. Stained glass windows that made the light look holy. 147 guests were arriving. I watched from my car across the street. Designer dresses, expensive suits, everyone smiling, excited, ready to witness a love story. They were going to witness something, just not that. I had the USB drive in my jacket pocket, right next to my phone, set to record. The church's AV tech, a kid named Tyler, who I'd paid $300 cash, had already loaded the file into the sound system. Wireless trigger. All I had to do was press play on my phone. Richard pulled up next to me. Rolled down his window. Last chance to change your mind. I'm not changing my mind. This is going to hurt people who don't deserve it. Your mom, your sister, good people who thought they were coming to a wedding. I know, and once you do this, you can't take it back. I know that too. He nodded. Then I'll be inside, 3rd row, if you need anything. Thanks, Richard. He drove off to park. I sat there another minute, watching people walk into the church. My mother arrived. She looked beautiful, proud. She'd lost my father 2 years ago, and this wedding, she thought it was the beginning of something good for me. I was about to ruin her day, but staying silent would ruin my life. I got out of the car and walked across the street. The groom's room was small, window overlooking the parking lot. Mirror on one wall. My groomsmen were supposed to be there. Brandon, 2 college friends, my cousin. But I'd uninvited Brandon. The others had gotten the text this morning. Something came up, just me and the officiant today. My cousin texted back, "Bro, you okay?" "I will be." I checked my phone. The audio file was queued. Tyler had texted, "All set, just hit play when you're ready. It'll override everything else." "Thanks." "Dude, I don't know what's on that file, but good luck." Someone knocked. The officiant, Father Matthews, 60-something, kind eyes. He'd known my father. "Michael, you ready?" "Yes, Father." "You look nervous." "Wouldn't you be?" He smiled. "Every groom is nervous. But you look like you're about to go to war." "Maybe I am." He studied me. "Son, if you're having doubts—" "I'm not having doubts, Father. I'm very sure about what I'm doing." "That's not comforting in the way you think it is." I almost laughed. "Father, can I ask you something?" "Of course. If you knew someone was lying about something fundamental, would you stay silent to keep the peace?" He was quiet for a long moment. "The truth isn't always peaceful, Michael, but it's always necessary." That's what I thought. He put his hand on my shoulder. "Whatever you're about to do, make sure it's for the right reasons." "It is. Then God be with you." He left. I stood there alone, touched the cufflinks, checked my phone one more time. The USB drive felt like it was burning a hole in my pocket. Downstairs, the processional music started. It was time. I walked down the hallway, past the Sunday school classrooms, past the church office, to the sanctuary doors. I could hear people settling in, murmuring, excited. The doors opened. 147 faces turned to look at me. I walked down the aisle. Every step felt surreal, like watching myself in a movie. My mother was crying, happy tears. My sister gave me a thumbs up. Carol sat in the front row wearing cream, close enough to white to make a statement. She smiled at me, smug, confident. She thought she'd won. I took my place at the altar. Father Matthews stood next to me. The organist finished the processional, silence. Then the wedding march began. The doors at the back opened. Madison appeared. $12,000 dress, custom fitted, lace sleeves. Train that probably cost $2,000 by itself. Her father next to her. Madison's face. She looked beautiful, radiant, like a woman who'd gotten everything she wanted. They walked toward me, slow, traditional, every step planned. The wedding programs, ivory cardstock, linen finish, 200 copies, were in everyone's hands. The photographer was snapping pictures. The videographer had his camera rolling. Everyone was documenting this. Good. Madison reached the altar. Her father lifted her veil, kissed her cheek, then leaned close to me and whispered, "Take care of my little girl." I smiled. "I will." He stepped back, sat next to Carol. Madison handed her bouquet to her maid of honor and took my hands. Her hands were shaking slightly. She should be nervous. Father Matthews cleared his throat. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today." I let go of her hands. "Father, I'm sorry. Before we begin, there's something everyone should hear." The church went silent, confused. Madison's eyes widened. "Michael," I pulled out my phone. "Madison, you told me this was a fairy tale. Let's make sure everyone knows what fairy tale we're in." I pressed play. For half a second, nothing. Then the church speakers crackled to life. Madison's voice, clear, unmistakable, breathy. "God, Brandon, don't stop!" Someone gasped, Brandon's voice. "You sure Michael won't find out?" "He won't. He's too trusting. Besides, 3 more days and we're set." Madison lunged for my phone. I stepped back. The recording kept playing. "What about after the wedding?" "After? Brandon, once the trust transfers, I'm filing for divorce. Irreconcilable differences. I'll take half of $2.3 million, and we can finally be together. This was always the plan." The church erupted, shouting, crying, people standing up. Madison's father stood. Carol's face went white. The recording ended. Total silence. Madison was frozen, tears running down her face, but not sad tears, angry tears. "You bastard," she whispered. "Me?" I looked at her. "I'm the bastard? You humiliated me." "No, Madison, I exposed you. There's a difference." Father Matthew stepped between us. "Michael, this is highly inappropriate?" "Yes. But so is planning to marry someone for their inheritance while sleeping with their best friend." I turned to face the congregation. 147 witnesses, all of them staring. "I'm sorry you came here expecting a wedding, but I couldn't stand at this altar and promise to love someone who never loved me. Some of you knew, some of you suspected, and some of you," I looked at Carol, "actively helped plan this." Carol stood up. "How dare you?" "Sit down, Carol. You have no right. I have every right. You told me to accept it. You said boys will be boys. You said if I couldn't handle your daughter's betrayal, I wasn't man enough to marry her." I pulled out the printed texts. "But what you didn't say is that you and Madison planned this from the beginning, that she approached me 3 weeks after my father died because you'd researched his estate, that this entire relationship was about money." Madison's grandmother, 80 years old, sitting in the second row, stood up. "Is this true, Carol?" Carol's mouth opened, closed, no words came out. The grandmother looked at me, then at Madison, then back to me. "Good for you, son." She picked up her purse and walked out of the church. 3 other people followed her, then 5 more, then a dozen. Madison grabbed my arm. "Michael, please, we can fix this." I pulled away. "No, Madison, we can't, because there was never anything real to fix." I took off the grandfather's cufflinks, set them on the altar next to the unity candle. These were supposed to be for my best man, the man who'd be my brother when it mattered most. Turns out I don't have a best man, or a bride, I just have the truth. Some things you don't forgive, some things you expose. I walked down the aisle, people moved out of my way like I was contagious. My mother reached for me, I kissed her forehead. "I'm sorry, Mom, but I couldn't do it. I know, baby, I know." My sister hugged me. "That was the most insane thing I've ever seen." "Yeah, I'm proud of you." I made it outside. The sun was too bright, the air too fresh. I couldn't breathe right. Richard was waiting by my car. "You okay?" "No, but I did it." "You did. What happens now?" "Now?" He opened my car door. "Now everyone knows, and you get to decide what comes next." If you've ever watched someone's true character reveal itself in real time, share that moment, not for drama, for solidarity. My phone exploded. 600 texts in 2 hours, calls from numbers I didn't recognize, voicemails, emails. Half the messages were supportive. "You're a hero." I always knew something was off about her. "Thank you for having the courage." The other half were vicious. "You're a monster. You humiliated her for revenge. You'll regret this." Madison's friends started a hashtag. "What's justice for Madison?" Said I'd abused her, controlled her, that the recording was fake or taken out of context. But the truth doesn't need context. I turned off my phone and went to Richard's office. He was waiting with more files. "I was going to give you these after the wedding," he said, "but I guess there's no wedding to wait for." He slid a thick folder across the desk. "These are your father's trust documents, all 47 pages. I need you to look at page 7, clause 7b. I flipped to it. Legal paper, thicker than normal paper. You can feel the weight of what's written on it. Clause 7b, trust assets shall transfer from conditional control to full control of the primary beneficiary, Michael James Patterson. 30 days following legal marriage or upon the primary beneficiary's 35th birthday, whichever comes first. So, the money transfers a month after marriage. Correct. Now, look at the signature page." I flipped to the back. My signature from 2 years ago when Dad died, the executor's signature, the lawyer's signature, and another signature, recent, dated 3 months ago. Madison K. Harper. What is this? It's an acknowledgement form. Spouses-to-be have to acknowledge the existence of trusts worth over $1 million in this state for prenuptial purposes. I never signed a prenup. No, but Madison did. He pulled out another document. This prenuptial agreement was drafted by Carol's lawyer. Madison signed it 6 months ago. You were supposed to sign it the week before the wedding. I read through it. The language was dense, but the meaning was clear. In the event of divorce within the first 5 years, Madison would receive 50% of all assets acquired during the marriage, including trust transfers. She was planning to divorce me. The recording confirmed it, but Michael, this goes deeper. He pulled out his phone, showed me a screenshot of text messages. Carol to Madison. Hook set. 2 more months and the trust transfers. Keep Brandon quiet till then. You've done harder acting jobs. Madison to Carol. I know, Mom, but what if Michael finds out? Carol. He won't, and if he does, make him feel guilty for doubting you. Men like him always fold. The timestamp. 4 months ago. My hands were shaking. They planned this. From the beginning, look at this timeline. He laid out a chart. Every interaction between Madison and me marked with dates. First contact. 3 weeks after my father's funeral, at a charity event for his foundation. First date, 1 week later. Engagement, 6 months after that. Right when Carol's lawyer filed the trust acknowledgement. Every milestone, planned, calculated, timed perfectly to maximize the payout. Madison didn't love me. No, she never did. I'm sorry, Michael, but no. And Brandon? Richard pulled up more texts. Brandon was her safety net, someone to keep her emotionally stable while she played the part. They've been on and off since college. She told him about the plan 6 months into your relationship. He was supposed to stay quiet, get paid when she divorced you. I felt numb. How much? Text from Madison to Brandon says 6 figures easy. Not random, not weakness, just greed. There's more, Richard said quietly. How can there be more? He pulled out a background check. Carol Jenkins, before she married Madison's father. She worked as a paralegal for 15 years, estate planning, divorce law. She knew exactly how trusts work, how to position her daughter, how to make this look organic. So this is what she does. I don't know if it's what she does, but it's what she did, to you. The room felt too small. I stood up, paced. Michael, there's something else. What? I found a similar pattern 3 years ago. Different man. Same approximate age, same situation, father died, left a trust. Madison dated him for 8 months. What happened? He broke up with her before they got engaged. No record of why, but I tracked him down. Want me to reach out? Yes. That's when Richard's phone rang. He looked at the screen. It's him, the ex-boyfriend? He answered, put it on speaker. Hello, this is Richard Hall. A man's voice, young, nervous. Yeah, hi. You called about Madison Harper? I did. I'm working with someone she was recently engaged to. Jesus, she's engaged? Was. The wedding was today. It didn't happen. Pause. Good, that's good. Can I ask why you broke up with her? Her mom, Carol. She kept pushing me to propose, pushing hard, talking about my dad's trust. I never told Madison about it, but somehow Carol knew everything. The amount, the terms, when it would transfer. It creeped me out. So I ended it. Did Madison fight it? Not really. That was the weirdest part. It was like she just moved on. No drama, no begging, just, okay, bye. Because you weren't the target. You were the practice. What? Nothing. Thank you for your time. Richard hung up, looked at me. She's done this before. Tried to. You were the first one who made it to the altar. I sat down, put my head in my hands. What do I do, Richard? You have options. You could walk away, move on, put this behind you. Or you could sue, fraudulent inducement to marry, emotional distress, conspiracy to commit fraud. You'd win, easily. The evidence is overwhelming. What would I get? Money, probably not as much as they plan to take from you, but enough. And more importantly, he tapped the files. A legal record, so the next man has warning. That's when Richard called. Michael, you need to see the financial records now. Monday morning, I walked into a lawyer's office. Marcus Webb, 50-something. Stanford Law, specialized in fraud cases. Richard had recommended him. Mr. Patterson, I've reviewed your materials. He gestured to the files spread across his conference table. This is one of the clearest cases of fraudulent inducement I've seen in 20 years of practice. Can we win? Win? You've already won. The question is how much and how publicly. He opened a legal pad, started writing. Here's what we file: fraudulent inducement to marry, intentional infliction of emotional distress, conspiracy to commit fraud, and breach of fiduciary duty. That last one's for your ex-best friend if he had any financial entanglements with you. He didn't. Then we'll focus on the women, Madison and Carol, the evidence you have, recordings, financial documents, testimony from the ex-boyfriend, text messages discussing the plan. This is prosecutorial grade. What do I get? Financially, wedding costs, emotional damages, punitive damages, probably $400,000 to $500,000, maybe more if we push. And them? Public record of fraud, restraining orders if you want them, and most importantly, he looked up. No one will ever be able to say you were the bad guy. The legal system will validate what you already know. You were the victim. I don't feel like a victim. Good, because you're not. You're a survivor who fought back. He slid a contract across the table. I'll take this on contingency, 30% of whatever we recover. But Mr. Patterson, I need to know you're prepared for what comes next. Which is, they'll come after you. Defamation claims, emotional distress claims. Carol will hire the best lawyer money can buy and claim you've destroyed her daughter's reputation. I didn't destroy anything. I revealed what was already there. Marcus smiled. Then we'll get along just fine. I signed the contract. Their lawyer claimed I'd defamed them. Mine smiled and said, truth is an absolute defense. The lawsuit was filed Wednesday. By Thursday, it was in the news. Groom cancels wedding at altar, alleges bride planned to marry for inheritance. The article included enough details to make it clear who we were, without naming names. But people figured it out anyway. My phone rang constantly. News outlets, podcasters, people wanting interviews. I declined everything. Let the court documents speak. But Carol and Madison didn't stay quiet. Madison posted on social media. I'm heartbroken. The man I loved humiliated me in front of everyone I know based on a misunderstanding. I made mistakes, but I didn't deserve this. Please respect my privacy as I heal from this abuse. Abuse. She was calling it abuse. The comments were split. Half the people supported her. The other half, the ones who'd seen the evidence, called her out. Carol went further. She hired a PR firm. They released a statement. Madison Harper is a victim of a vindictive ex-fiancé who couldn't handle the reality that relationships are complicated. Mr. Patterson's actions constitute harassment and intentional infliction of emotional distress. We will be pursuing all legal remedies. Marcus called me. They filed a countersuit. Defamation, emotional distress, loss of consortium. That's a fancy way of saying you damaged her marriage prospects. Let me guess, they're asking for money. $2 million. I laughed. They have some nerve. They do, but they're also desperate. This countersuit is a Hail Mary. They're hoping you'll settle to make it go away. I'm not settling. Good, because I have something that's going to end this. What? A witness. Her name was Jennifer Cole, 29 years old, graphic designer from Ohio, and 3 years ago she almost married Brandon. Richard had found her while digging into Brandon's past. She'd agreed to testify, flew in on her own dime. I met her at Marcus's office the day before our hearing. She was small, maybe 5'3", nervous hands. But her eyes, they were tired, like she'd been fighting something for a long time and was finally getting a chance to rest. Mr. Patterson, she said, thank you for including me. Thank you for coming. You didn't have to. Yes, I did. She sat down, opened a folder. What they did to you, they tried to do to me. Marcus leaned forward. Tell him. Jennifer took a breath. I dated Brandon for 2 years. We got engaged. I thought we were happy. But then I started noticing things. He'd disappear on Thursdays. Always had an excuse. Work, gym, friends. I trusted him. When did you find out? 6 months before our wedding. I found texts between him and Carol Harper. Carol? Yes, they were coordinating. Carol was coaching him on how to handle me, how to keep me calm, how to make sure the wedding happened. Why? My father had died the year before, left me a trust. Not as much as yours, about $800,000. But enough. Carol knew about it, she'd researched it, and she told Brandon that if he married me and divorced me within 5 years, he'd walk away with half. My stomach turned. It was the same plan. Exactly the same. Carol even drafted a prenuptial agreement. Same lawyer, same clauses. When I confronted Brandon, he admitted everything, said Carol had approached him, told him I was an opportunity, that if he played it right, he'd never have to work again. What did you do? I called off the wedding, moved to Ohio, changed my number. I thought I'd escaped. Did Brandon face any consequences? Her face hardened. No. Carol paid him $50,000 to stay quiet. Hush money. I found out later through a mutual friend. Marcus interjected. Jennifer kept all the evidence. Texts, emails, the prenuptial agreement, bank records of the payment. She's willing to testify that this is a pattern of behavior. I looked at Jennifer. Why? Why help me when you could just move on? She met my eyes. Because I didn't come here for revenge. I came here so no one else becomes what I almost became. Someone who believed their pain didn't matter. The hearing was set for 2 weeks later. Judge Patricia Romano, 62 years old, no-nonsense reputation, known for hating fraud. We arrived early. Marcus, Richard, Jennifer, me. The courtroom was small, wood paneling, high ceilings. It smelled like old books and broken promises. Carol and Madison arrived with their lawyer, David Chen, expensive suit, practiced smile. He looked at me like I was an insect. The judge entered. We all stood. Be seated. This is a preliminary hearing for Patterson versus Harper and Jenkins. Mr. Webb, you're representing the plaintiff? Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Chen, you're representing the defendants and have filed a countersuit. Correct, Your Honor. Then let's hear it. Mr. Webb, you first. Marcus stood, laid out the case, showed the timeline, the texts, the recordings, the trust documents, Carol's history as a paralegal, the ex-boyfriend's testimony. The judge listened without expression. Then Marcus said, Your Honor, we have a witness who can establish this is not an isolated incident, but a pattern of predatory behavior. Call your witness. The plaintiff calls Jennifer Cole. Jennifer walked to the stand, took the oath, sat down. She testified for 20 minutes, every detail, Brandon, Carol, the plan, the money, the devastation. Carol's face went pale. Madison stared at the table. When Jennifer finished, Marcus asked one final question. Ms. Cole, why are you here today? Because what Carol Harper does to men like Michael, it needs to stop. She weaponizes her daughter. She researches vulnerable men who've lost parents. She plans everything down to the dollar, and when she's done, she moves on to the next target. I'm here because the truth matters, and because Michael had the courage to expose it. I didn't. The judge looked at Carol. Mrs. Jenkins, would you like to respond to this testimony? Carol stood. Your Honor, this is a coordinated attack on my character. Mrs. Jenkins. The judge's voice was ice. I've been on this bench for 18 years. I've seen embezzlement. I've seen fraud. I've even seen violence. But weaponizing your own daughter against vulnerable men, targeting them in their grief, that's a pathology I'll remember. Here's something I learned. Boundaries without consequences aren't boundaries. They're suggestions. If this story reminds you to protect yours, hit subscribe. I'll keep telling stories about people who chose themselves. The judge ruled from the bench. Based on the evidence presented, particularly Ms. Cole's testimony establishing a pattern of behavior, I find in favor of the plaintiff. The defendants engaged in fraudulent inducement and conspiracy to commit fraud. Furthermore, I'm dismissing the countersuit in its entirety. She looked at Carol and Madison. You will pay the plaintiff $487,000 in damages. This includes wedding costs, emotional distress, and punitive damages. You will also issue a written, notarized public apology acknowledging your fraudulent conduct. And Mr. Patterson is entitled to a restraining order prohibiting contact within 500 feet. Madison started crying. Carol sat frozen. Your Honor, Chen said weakly, we'd like to appeal. You can try, Mr. Chen, but I'm making this record very clear. These women preyed on a man in grief. They planned to defraud him. They nearly succeeded. The only reason they didn't is because he had the courage to expose them. This court will not reward that behavior. We're adjourned. The gavel came down. Marcus turned to me. We won. Yeah? You don't sound happy. I'm not happy. I'm just done. Jennifer approached me in the hallway. Mr. Patterson, Michael, thank you. I should be thanking you. You didn't have to do this. Yes, I did. For me, for you, for whoever comes next. She handed me a card. her email. If you ever need to talk to someone who understands, reach out. I will. She hugged me, brief, tight. Then she walked away. I watched her go, thought about all the people Carol had tried this on, all the ones we didn't know about, the ones who settled quietly, the ones who thought they were crazy for questioning it. We weren't crazy, we were targeted. The settlement took 6 weeks to finalize, $487,000 deposited into my account. The written apology arrived by certified mail. We, Madison Harper and Carol Jenkins, acknowledged that we engaged in fraudulent conduct toward Michael Patterson. We apologize for the harm caused. This apology is made pursuant to court order. It was cold, legal, but it was a record, something future victims could find. Brandon lost his job. Word got around about his involvement. His employer, a conservative financial firm, didn't want the association. Last I heard, he moved to another state. Carol deleted all her social media. Madison changed her name, moved to California. I got a restraining order. They're not allowed within 500 feet of me, my home, or my workplace. It expires in 5 years. I hope I never see them again. Richard sent me a final report. For your records, he said, in case you ever doubt yourself. I filed it away. I don't need to look at it, but it's there if I ever do. Carol had one last thing to say at the settlement signing. Her lawyer tried to let her speak. I didn't let her. Some people don't deserve final words. 1 year later, I'm standing in my bathroom, putting on my grandfather's cufflinks. Same ones. Left wrist, click, right wrist, click. But today's different. I'm not going to a wedding. I'm going to my new job. Senior financial analyst at a firm that specializes in estate planning, helping people protect their assets from exactly the kind of predators who targeted me. Ironic, right? The cufflinks catch the light. They're heavy, real silver. My grandfather wore them on important days, days that mattered. He'd told me, these are for moments when you need to remember who you are. I remember now. My apartment is smaller than the house I was supposed to share with Madison, but it's mine. Every piece of furniture, every choice, mine. On my desk is a framed thank you card from Jennifer. Simple, handwritten. Thank you for being brave enough to tell the truth. You saved me from staying silent. Jennifer. Next to it is a photo. Me and my new partner. I met her 4 months ago, completely by accident, at a coffee shop. No grand plan, no research, no ulterior motive. Just two people who like talking to each other. She doesn't know about my trust. I haven't told her yet. Will I? Eventually. But not because it matters to her, because honesty matters to me. The USB drive is in my desk drawer, black, red stripe, 8.7 gigabytes of truth. I don't need to look at it anymore. Not because I've forgotten, because I've moved forward. And somewhere, maybe Ohio, maybe somewhere else, Jennifer's doing the same thing, signing her name to something that matters, building something real. We text occasionally, not often, just enough to know we're both okay. We didn't just survive, we remembered what we deserved, and then we went out and built it. I grabbed my briefcase, checked my phone, text from my sister. Coffee this weekend? Want to hear about the new job? Definitely. Saturday? Perfect. Proud of you, little brother. I smile, lock the door, head to my car. The courthouse is 2 blocks from my new office. I drive past it every day. Sometimes I glance over, remember standing there, fighting for my right to tell the truth. The judge's words echo sometimes. You had the courage to expose them. But it wasn't courage. Not really, it was necessity. Because staying silent would have killed something in me. Something fundamental. My ability to trust myself. To believe that truth matters more than comfort. I couldn't live as someone who accepted lies for peace. So I didn't. Not bitter, not broken, just free. At a red light, I think about Carol, about Madison, about Brandon. Do I forgive them? No. Do I think about them every day? Not anymore. Do I wish them well? I wish them accountability, growth, change. But that's their work to do, not mine. My work is different now. Last month, a client came to me, young guy, 28. His father had just died, left him a trust. He'd recently gotten engaged. His fiancée was pushing hard for a quick wedding. I asked him some questions, gentle, careful. How did you meet? When? Who introduced you? Has she asked about the trust? His face changed as he answered. I watched him realize something he'd been afraid to see. You think I think you should protect yourself. And if she loves you, she'll understand. If she doesn't, I pulled out Richard's business card. Call him, just to be sure. He did. Turns out his fiancée's mother was a paralegal. He called off the wedding 2 weeks later, sent me a thank you email. You saved my life. I didn't save his life. I just gave him permission to trust his instincts. That's what I do now. Some things you don't forgive, some things you expose, and some things, they expose themselves. You just have to be brave enough to let them. My grandfather used to say the cufflinks were for important days. The wedding was supposed to be one. Turns out, the most important day was the one I chose myself. The day I stood at that altar and decided truth mattered more than appearances. The day I press play, I park at my office, grab my coffee, head inside. My coworker Sarah waves from her desk. Morning, Michael. Morning. How was your weekend? Good. Quiet. Yours? Chaotic, but in a good way. Normal conversation, normal day, normal life. That's what freedom looks like. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just real. I sit at my desk, open my laptop, start working on a client's estate plan. The sun comes through the window, catches the cufflinks. They gleam, silver, heavy, real, just like the truth. If this story taught you anything about boundaries or self-worth, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Someone sitting where I was a year ago, holding a cracked phone, wondering if they're crazy for wanting the truth to matter. Tell them, they're not crazy, they're courageous. Blood makes you related, loyalty makes you family. If you've ever found your real family outside your bloodline, tell me about them in the comments. Those stories matter. You matter. Thanks for witnessing this with me.